Okay, 3, 2, 1, and we live.
Hello, and welcome to our webinar, A Practical Guide to Disaggregated Networks. NTT and IP Infusion present Keys to Success. I'm Kelly LeBlanc, Chief Marketing and Product Officer of IP Infusion, based here at our headquarters in Santa Clara, California. And joining me today, I have two very special guests, Shimazu-san and Nishizawa-san from NTT. IP Infusion and NTT have been working together for many years to deliver open networking innovation. So here you can see our agenda for today. Our webinar runs for 45 minutes. We will start with introductions to our speaker guests, followed by an introduction to network disaggregation and open networking. Then NTT will introduce the IOWN Network Solution, which we've been working on together. I will conduct a Q&A with Shimazu-san and Nishizawa-san, and feel free to ask any questions that you have during this webinar using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We also reserve time to answer any questions that you have. Now I'd like to ask my guests to introduce themselves. Shimazu-san, let's start with you. Please introduce yourself and tell the audience why you're qualified to talk about open networking.
Okay, hello, Kelly and everyone. My name is Yoshitsugu Shimazu from NTT Holding. I'm Vice President of Innovative Technology Office, and I'm responsible for strategy planning for the next generation infrastructure in NTT Group and promotion of IOWN, particularly focusing on the commercialization of IOWN technologies. In the last September, NTT released the IOWN Network Solution with several partners, including IP Infusion. So today, I'm very pleased to talk about this IOWN Network Solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Shimazu-san. Now over to you, Nishizawa-san. Please introduce yourself and tell the audience why you're qualified to talk about open networking.
Nice to meet you. I'm Hideki Nishizawa of NTT Network Innovation Laboratories. So my research interest is disaggregation of optical transport network. So I'm working for several years for this theme. And recently, my research I'm focusing on the automation of disaggregated optical systems. So digital twin and AI technology for optical transport is my latest interest. I'm also working as a coordinator of IOWN Global Forum Open APN Architecture Task Force, and this aggregated optical systems subgroup of telecom infra project. So it's a great honor to make a presentation at this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nishizawa-san, and I'm so pleased to welcome you both. So let's get started. So today we are speaking about a practical guide to disaggregated networks. And we also call this open networking. And it starts by separating the hardware from the software to give customers greater flexibility and choice. So at IP Infusion, we do this with our OcNOS network operating system. So for many years, OcNOS has been providing an alternative to incumbent vendors' proprietary solutions. Our advantage over incumbent vendors' proprietary solutions is lower cost, shorter lead times, higher flexibility, and a simple perpetual licensing scheme. We do not cause any reason to come back and look at our licensing once you've purchased it. You're ready to go, to make it very simple for you. On the other hand, we compete against the open networking vendors, which we have been winning against largely thanks to the fact that we are proven with 25 years of deployment in some of the largest networks in the world. So our advantage over other open networking vendors is, of course, that we are proven, we are simple to buy, simple to deploy, and fully supported. So the OcNOS advantage for open networking comes in many different facets. As you can see here, we are a comprehensive network operating system. We have over 600 modern networking features. We support over 40 whitebox hardware platforms and over 100 transceivers have been qualified to run with OcNOS. Earlier this year, we did introduce our IP Maestro management system, which is a GUI-based point-and-click management system for OcNOS networking. We sell our software. We also sell a complete bundle, including our hardware with the optics and the software all together with 24/7 support for peace of mind. Now, it is the same OcNOS for end-to-end networking solutions for carriers as well as data centers, as you can see here. We provide a single license SKU for each of these use cases, from access to aggregation to core networks and data centers. And our software scales from 32 gigabits per second all the way to 51.2 terabits per second, all with the same OcNOS. Right now, we're helping customers transition from 100 gig to 400 gig, which also includes our support for the 400 gig ZR/ZR Plus optics. And the IOWN Network Solution is very important for IP Infusion. As you can see, several of our main use cases are supported, including transport, data center, and data center interconnect. We have been participating in the IOWN Global Forum for several years. Now with this, I'm going to hand over to Shimazu-san and Nishizawa-san for an update on NTT's open and disaggregated portfolio, how we are working together, and more. So Nishizawa-san, please, over to you.
Okay, so at first, let me introduce what's IOWN. So IOWN is an innovative optical and wireless network. So future communication infrastructure based on leading edge optical technology and information process.
I think Nishizawa-san is frozen.
Yep. Yes.
And latency, and we can enjoy a big bandwidth. So these are sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Okay. All right, sorry. And then we can enjoy a big bandwidth. So we are describing the architecture of this IOWN network. And you may know what's the use case. So our first target is a data center. Because our data center interconnect is a emerging market. So see 14%. So compared to the other WDM application. So the other application, CAGR is 2%. So you can know how much data center interconnect is very critical. So that's our first use case. So go to the next slide. The IOWN Network Solutions combines the IOWN-related technologies of NTT and those of IP Infusion. With this solution, our data center operators and telecommunication carriers can construct simple and lower-cost inter-data center networks based on 400 ZR/ZR Plus for high-speed and long-distance transmission. FOC and NEC optical transceivers are equipped with NTT Innovative Devices Corporation's photonics electronics convergence devices that achieve low power and stable transmission performance and comply with the open standard specifications. A switch router is realized by combining network OS and whitebox switch router, and the customer can select the appropriate combination from the multiple whitebox switches routers and optical transceivers to meet the needs. So this will contribute to a 50% reduction in the construction and operation costs of the network requirement 40% reduction in power consumption and reactor space. Please go to the next slide.
This is the current lineup of the white boxes and optical transceivers for the IOWN network solution. We have certified 3 models from 2 companies, Fujitsu and NEC, for 400 gig DR plus optical transceivers, and 3 models from 2 companies, H-Core and Space, for white boxes so far. So the customer can select appropriate optical transceivers and white boxes according to the use case and condition. And adding IP Infusion's OcNOS on top of that, we provide them as the IOWN network solution with 24/7 professional support. And next slide, please.
Okay, so NTT has been collaborating with members of the IOWN Global Forum to verify technologies to implement data center exchange services that directly connect many data centers built in metro area via optical fiber. DCX requires the connection of devices from multiple vendors between many-to-many locations with various transmission modes suitable for link length and quality. This solution allows us 3 benefits: high capacity per fiber with reduced space and power, cost savings through elimination of transponder equipment, open optics such as CMIS integration devices, more optics choices. Okay.
Yes, and this is the future roadmap of the IOWN network solution. As a first application, currently the IOWN network solution mainly support high-speed, high-capacity inter-data center connection. And we are now trying to expand the capability to the several use cases. So as a feature enhancement, we aim to expand its features and performance to support intra-data center network, particularly high-speed, high-capacity back-end network between GPUs for AI. And additionally, this IO network solution fully comply with the IOWN APN, all photonics networks. So by connecting to the IOWN APN network, we aim to deploy the IO network solution to realize advanced networks connecting the various locations such as edge data centers and user site from the data center. Yes, that's all of our presentation. Thank you.
All right. So Shimazu-san and Nishizawa-san, thank you for explaining about the IOWN network solution and how we're working together. What we'd like to do now is open it up to our Q&A together, where we're going to understand, I'd really like to understand more about NTT's perspective on open networking. So as a reminder, everyone can ask your questions in the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we will answer them as they're coming in. And now we will start the Q&A portion. So I have a couple of questions for both of you. Shimazu-san, let's start with you. I'd like to understand your perspective on open networking. So why did NTT select open networking for IOWN's packet network?
Yes, yeah. As Kelly mentioned earlier, so today's network equipment is provided as a software and hardware integrated model, and the choice of the transceiver is so limited. So this kind of vendor lock-in model has problems, especially in the price, which tend to keep high. So getting flexible hardware selection according to the use case or condition, and getting the cost optimization by select flexible white boxes and transceivers are the main purpose that NTT is promoting open networking by software and hardware disaggregation. And by this disaggregation, we think we can realize the enhancement of the network infrastructure, including operation. Yeah.
What about your top concerns when selecting open networking?
Yes, yeah. There is also the concern for the disaggregation in operation. Current network equipment can be guaranteed by the single vendors, but as the software and hardware are provided by the different vendors, we need an appropriate operation scheme to get trouble fixed quickly. While this IO network solution realizes the flexible hardware selection, the solution is provided at one stop. So this solution has such advantage at the same time.
Okay, great. And so I have to ask, how did you find and choose IP Infusion for this job?
Yes, NTT has advanced infrastructure technologies as well as operational knowledge as a network operator. On the other hand, IP Infusion is a pioneer leader in network operation system for whitebox switch router and has deep knowledge of open architecture as well as global sales and support capability. That's why we have decided to work with IP Infusion as a partner to accelerate the global deployment of advanced infrastructure software and to promote the development and implementation of ION technologies by combining the strengths of both companies.
Yes, and it's been a long partnership working closely together, and that's why I wanted to get Nishizawa-san's take on this as well. As of course, we've been working with the Telecom Infra project for many years together as well. So, Nishizawa-san, from your perspective, how did you find and choose IP Infusion for the job?
Yeah, I'm working as a co-leader of a telecom infra project for a long time, and I'm collaborating with European big carriers such as Vodafone, Telefonica. So they have tested many hardware disaggregated systems, use many NOS and many hardware. And then they evaluated that IP Infusion's OcNOS range the Broadcom switch very well. So that's a reason why difference between big advantage from other NOS vendors. So I'm working with for a long time, and I also started the optical transmission system on the whitebox system. And at the time, IP Infusion is a first mover. So they try to put their OcNOS on the world first multi-vendor whitebox system. Then they have started to provide this solution to all over the world. So that's a reason why I'm working with IP Infusion for a long time.
And I know along the way there have been challenges and lessons learned. So I'd like to see if you can share some of the key integration challenges while you were creating the IOWN network solution.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. So we have succeeded to disaggregated optical system. So next step is automation. So how we can manage, optimize these devices. So that's a big challenge. And here, for example, when we transmit the optical signal, in this case, we have to care how much noise from amplifier and how much noise from optical fiber, because optical fiber have a nonlinear interference. So next step is we monitor the such impairment correctly, then optimize the optical system automatically. So automation is a very key feature for next step.
Yes, I think you that is quite right, because the solution scope of ION is in fact quite large. And so other pieces are required as well, such as network controllers. So I'm curious, what will be the solution for the network controller? Maybe start with you, Shimazu-san.
Yes, the obviously network operator are required to provide the more stable and more advanced network infrastructure service to the customer. As I mentioned earlier, one of the advantages of software and hardware disaggregation is the realization of the enhancement of the network infrastructure, including operation. However, from the viewpoint of operation, it is important not only to enhance the network equipment itself, but also to do multi-orchestration of the entire infrastructure, including the end-to-end controller. So that is what IOWN's cognitive foundation is all about. And we would like to implement the required feature for it. Yeah.
And from your perspective, Nishizawa-san, I know you've been working on this for many years as well. What would you like to say about the network controller piece?
Yeah, so I'm collaborating with many other operators such as Vodafone and Telefonica. So their request is a plug and play operation. So currently, coherent transmission is I have to say that it's a little bit complicated. So when we connect the optical link, in this case, we needed to care about the modulation format and the fake, what kind of for data collection we should select. So this thing is a little bit complicated. So the operator's requirement is plug and play operation. So the controller is a key component to manage such a automatic operation.
Yes, I think also operators, of course, have preferences for optics. So one of the questions I wanted to ask is, we saw 3 coherent transceivers listed in the current offer for IOWN. So Shimazu-san, will this be expanded?
Yes, the 3 transceiver from 2 vendors are certified as of now, but our target is to create open ecosystem for this IO network solution. So we'd like to collaborate with the partners who sympathizes with our vision. And according to the use cases or conditions, we'd like to realize more flexible and more appropriate selection with this IO network solution.
So it sounds like you will be adding more and more vendors and building the
Yeah.
ecosystem bigger and bigger.
Sure.
Another thing, if we consider tier ones, so tier ones also often have a preference for a single contact window. So if a customer wants to deploy the solution, how do you provide the pre and post sales support? This is a question that we get a lot. So Shimazu-san, from your view, please.
Yes, it's a very important point. So for this IOWN network solution, IP Infusion as well as NTT Advanced Technology Corporation, one of NTT Group's corporate companies, will provide one-stop 24/7 professional support with single point contract. By doing this, while we maintain the hardware selection flexibility, we provide the solution to solve the problem related to the software and hardware disaggregation.
Okay, very good. So I have some other questions. In fact, now I would like to talk a little bit about your network. And so Shimazu-san, I do have a question for you to see how is NTT using OcNOS and whitebox internally?
Yes, unfortunately, I cannot mention clearly, but NTT has already started using it in some commercial networks, such as data centers and internal system in NTT Group. Yeah.
And so as you know, with this work that's been going on, one of the things as use cases are transitioning and taking a new path, there's always lessons learned, benefits that have been discovered. So in your experience as you've been working on this project, are there any benefits or lessons learned as you've been working through this?
Yes, the primary benefit is TCO reduction so far. So in future, we are expected to the more benefit for the network enhancement and operation enhancement. But currently, the biggest benefit is the TCO reduction. And in fact, in the case of NTT Group data center, which I mentioned earlier, so TCO was reduced by around 20%. Yeah. On the other hand, so various challenges have been identified. The most significant challenges are the maintenance scheme of the white box hardware, because the white box market in network operators is very early stage, I think, especially in Japan. And from the network operator perspective, the life cycle of the white box is shorter than that of the legacy network equipment, because the various lineup of white box are designed for the mainly data center usage. So we'd like to solve these challenges by collaborating with the several partners.
Lisa, so I think I appreciate how you're sharing some more information about your journey. So what about your future plan? So what is your future plan for expanding OcNOS and whitebox in the NTT group companies?
Yes, we believe that software and hardware disaggregation is one of the key technologies for the cost reduction, advancement of network infrastructure, and realizing the network infrastructure of the IOWN era. On the other hand, as I mentioned, there are some challenges such as operation and maintenance. So we will work with various partners who sympathizes with our vision of open architecture to solve various challenges and try to introduce appropriate white box switch and router according to the use case or condition gradually to provide more stable and more advanced network infrastructure services to the customer. In addition, like this IOWN Network Solution, we would like to expand our offering of IOWN technologies as some kind of solution that operators, customers can use it, as well as IOWN services. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I see that we are getting some questions coming in from the audience. I see some of these are being answered in real time, but some of them are still outstanding. So in fact, I see one, I think it's for you, Nishizawa-san. Question coming in from the audience. What kind of use case has been deployed by NTT based on this IOWN technology?
Okay, so IOWN Global Forum recently showed us some document about our use case. So first one is financial data center. So you know that our financial industry needed to manage the many data, and scalability of infrastructure is a very key. So the connecting data center to data center is a very important for their business. So the application use case, first one is must be a financial use case. So definitely this is very important. So low latency and also redundancy is a very key. And the next one is remote production of a video. So for example, the video broadcasting company, they want to connect for example, stadium, baseball stadium, and then tomorrow may want to connect to soccer stadium. So they need to change the optical path for regulatory. So in this case, IOWN solution is a very good solution for these requirements.
Those are great use cases that actually affect real life. Actually quite high profile use cases. So congratulations for that. I think I see some more questions coming in. Okay. Okay. Yes. Lots of questions about the different, okay, lots of questions about choice of hardware, choice of optics. One of the questions we have is which hardware vendors. We've mentioned EdgeCore. Of course, we have also UFI Space. There's Celestica and other white box platforms that OcNOS has been currently qualified on. So from your perspective, Nishizawa-san, anything you'd like to say on choice of hardware?
Yeah, good question. So, yes, so these two vendors is very major, and sure, the other vendor we are very welcome. And I have working with whitebox vendor for a long time, and not only a current series, but also new hardware will be enabled by this vendor. For example, near future, server itself may have a coherent interface. So in this case, this vendor will show next generation hardware. So I'm very interested in and excited.
Yes. Okay, very good. There's been quite a lot of questions coming in. Okay, here's one I'm getting as well right now. So in terms of operation, how do you define the demarcation between the software and the hardware? So in terms of troubleshooting, for example. I think this one's for you, Nishizawa-san. So the
Okay.
question is about troubleshooting whitebox hardware and how to find the demarcation between software and hardware.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
So we are working to define the hardware abstraction interface. So you know that you may know that in the case of a whitebox switch, Microsoft have released a switch abstraction interface. So they have succeeded to define the interface for their hardware box and NOS. So we also are doing the same thing. So collaborating with Meta and Microsoft, we have defined a transponder abstraction interface. So here, IP Infusion is a big contributor as a first mover, and we have succeeded to define the different interface. And we using this interface, and we are using the latest standardized interface such as CMIS and coherent CMIS. So using these standard interface, we can do a troubleshooting. So actually, our lab, we have succeeded to get many information from network components such as transceiver, and then we can utilize these information correctly. So using the controller side. So this must be a good example for your question, I believe.
And in fact, it looks like it's inspiring more questions for you. So Nishizawa-san, what are the timelines for the IOWN network controller? Will it manage both the entire IOWN ecosystem, packet and optical?
Good question. So, mm, so I cannot talk about the confidential issue, but let me try to explain as much as possible. So currently, we are now describing the POC, proof of concept reference document of controller in the IOWN Global Forum. So as I explained, I'm a coordinator of task force, and collaborating with Orange, CHT, SKT, and KDDI. So such a operator come together, and we are discussing how we can describe the POC reference. So once you have joined IOWN Global Forum, you can get more information. And such a reference case have already discussed. Use case requirement you can get on the IOWN Global Forum site. And then sure, many vendors are joining this conference. So these vendors already started to prepare to provide this functionality. So that's I can say today.
Okay, thank you for that. That's really helpful. And in fact, with so many questions coming in. So one of the questions is going back to one of our slides where we talked about the cost savings with the IOWN Network Solution, in particular about the 400 gig ZR/ZR plus systems versus legacy transport equipment. You know, for example, the ability to eliminate the transponder has resulted in a significant savings. Is there anything, either from Shimazu-san or Nishizawa-san, anything else you can say about the cost reduction as you had mentioned on the slide?
Yes, let me mention about one thing. So by combining the white box switcher router and NOS plus transceiver, we can reduce the number of equipment. So we can reduce the space required to introduce this system. So that way we can also reduce the cost due to the space lending, and also we can realize the shorter, smaller power consumption. So we can reduce the OpEx as well.
Okay, yes, thank you for that. Any further comments from your side, Nishizawa-san?
Yes,
Cost savings.
so maybe I can say that more benefits must be operating cost. So for example, data center operator and the cloud operator and many people in there. So generally say, compared to number of server engineer and the number of layer 2 layer 3 engineer, number of optical engineer is very small. So many operator such as cloud operator and ISP, it's very hard to hire layer 1 engineer. So with using IOWN solution, you can reduce such OpEx dramatically. So that must be one of benefit for users.
Yeah, very good. In fact, I do remember you speaking about this on stage at the Fuse conference in Dublin as well. So yes,
Yeah.
that was a very interesting presentation. All right, so more questions coming in. So we have one. What are the main deployments that IOWN received to date? So main deployments to date for IOWN.
Main deployment. So deployment covers many things. So
Yes.
let me try to explain. So yeah, mainly controller is a very key, and controller mean the operation. So how we can, for example, we want to reduce the provisioning time. So develop the on-demand optical path technology to provide equipment with shorter delivery time. So this also help customer to reduce the cost because they can start to use network very soon. So such a operation technology, on-demand optical path must be recently deployed by ourselves.
Okay, very good. And so in fact, one of the things that we've talked about is the latency reduction when deploying an IOWN solution. So one of the questions we have received is, how do you quantify the latency reduction by deploying, for example, the IOWN Interdata platform as compared to a traditional DWDM platform or any other proprietary vendor platform? Is there anything to look for in terms of quantifying latency reduction from your view?
Okay, so let me try to explain. So conventionally, DWD network, I have to say that big latency it can have because for a long time, carrier providing the DWDM services and with the ring architecture. So connecting many sites with ring network and to guarantee redundancy, sometimes we need to put a buffer to guarantee quality. For example, when we use a ring network and we call it 1-to-1 ring production. So this technology needed to have a buffer at the edge of network. And also, when we put many router in network, in this case, a router may have a latency. So our latest idea, connecting a customer without router and without such a buffer directly will reduce latency dramatically. So I'm very, is it the answer for you?
Yes, so very good.
Yeah.
In fact, I want to thank the audience for asking such wonderful questions. We're just about out of time now, so if anyone has any final questions, please do so now. One question that we would like to ask, I see this coming in, would be who to contact at NTT to receive more information about IOWN and the IOWN Network Solution that we've been talking about.
Yes. Okay. So yeah. Honestly, so it depends on the what kind of what areas these questions. So please contact me so I can arrange those appropriate. I can introduce the appropriate person. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And we did get one more coming in. So is there a full integration between NTT's OLS, ROADM, multiplexers, and the whitebox? I guess this one's for Nishizawa-san.
Sorry, please speak again.
Yeah, so we're looking at integration between your OLS, ROADM, multiplexers, and whitebox. Anything you can talk about the full end-to-end integration. This seems to be a forward-thinking question.
Okay, so please let me make sure the question clearly. So I understand that it's a question for the when you utilize IOWN network, what do you have to mention? So when you use, for example, data center exchange services, these equipment, so lowdown and amplifier fiber, will be provided IOWN provider, so IOWN service provider. And if you want to utilize other your own network, in this case, you need SIR. So not only a whitebox, but also a lowdown system and related equipment. So I believe NTT Group can support both one. So design the, how much equipment you will need, or other thing we can support.
Right, thank you. Well, Shimazu-san, Nishizawa-san, thank you so much. We have answered all the questions. And in fact, we have done perfectly so within the time of our webinar. So I want to thank all of the audience for your wonderful questions and answers. And also a big thank you to Shimazu-san and Nishizawa-san for joining as our guest today. This has been a wonderful webinar. We appreciate everyone's time. We're now out of time. And so until next time, thank you.